One Chance Podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today's a really special episode. Couple reasons. One, I never drank coffee before I've ever done one of these. Two, I have no questions written down in front of me. I always have questions, but because I've known this guy for over 30 years, everything's going to flow. I've already done an interview with him once over the phone, but I hate the way it sounded. He just moved out here, which is wonderful, and this will actually come out tomorrow. First time I've ever done a podcast the day before and dropped it. There was some sound issues with the one over the phone, and it's important to have this episode out because it's part of the New York City chapter. Welcome to the podcast, Brian.
Hey, how you doing, Toby?
You fuck.
Fuck you.
You may know Brian from Black Train Jack, 9 Lives, and just being an awesome human. And how we met, we'll get into that later. But we're going to rewind my friend's life right now and go to the beginning. Brian, you were born in Queens, New York. Correct?
I was born on Long Island in 1969.
Okay, you're giving that age now, too.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You know, we're looking pretty good.
Yeah. So you're born on Long Island. What part of Long Island?
In Plainview.
Right.
Town of Oyster Bay.
Sick. So how long did you live in Long Island for?
I never did. We lived in Queens.
Okay. So
but that was, I guess, that's where the OBGYN was that caught me when I shot out. But I didn't come out the normal way anyway. That's why my head's shaped all fucked up. I was born cesarean.
Oh, shit. Wow.
But I can't, like, my head... I look kind of. You see, I look like an alien.
You have a good head, though.
I got like an extra chunk on the back because I assume that it's because in the birth canal your head it becomes like pointy and then it goes back to normal. That didn't happen to me, so I can't wear That's why I have a thin face. I can't
wear with hats on.
I can't wear hats.
Okay.
I can't wear hats. If I had to wear like motorcycle helmet, I have to take a hammer and like squish in the front and the back so it would fit on my weird head and then put extra padding in the side.
Well, luckily you have a good hairline and a good head of hair.
I do have a good head of hair.
So you never really need hats.
But I like hats. Anyway.
So you have brothers and sisters?
Nope.
Okay, single child.
Only guys like yourselves that are my brothers from other mothers.
Exactly. So you moved to Queens.
I've lived in Queens my whole life. I lived in Queens, and then that's pretty much everything.
So how was growing up for you? We had a strict household. You guys religious?
No, single parent. My mom raised me. She was a teacher, and you know she did an awesome job. I think other people might think she completely failed because if you look at me, this guy's an asshole. But I think she did a great job. And Whitestone, Queens, nice. Is kind of suburban, even though it's New York. It's like right at the edge of New York City, but you know, and other guys lived out there would know to get into the city, man, it was a hell mission. You're taking the Q15 bus, the entire route. It was like 45 minutes, like Mike would tell you. Yeah. And then the 7 train all the way in. You have to hop on the R or something to go downtown to the shows.
Okay, before the shows.
How
was it growing up? Then? Like
it was okay. I was always a little guy. I never played sports. I got picked on and made fun of, but it was all right.
Yeah, Brian's. Yeah. If you've never seen Brian, he's a shorter man, but he's a very strong man. So it's never your size because Brian is.
It's not size. It's your heart.
He's a badass.
But you're not that much taller. I mean, it's not like, you know,
I'm a lot taller.
A giant among men.
And I'm a lot younger, too.
I can't see up your nose.
I'm a lot younger.
Yeah, a lot of days.
So, listen. So, school. How were you in school?
I did okay in school. I loved science and stuff. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I was, you know, even though like nerd stuff now is cool, I was a constant nerd. Like first day of school, I'd wear a shirt and tie and a sweater, listen to classical music, play Dungeons and Dragons, and that's okay. I did it then, and I got picked on, and stuff thrown at me and everything, but it's all right.
So in school, how were you? So that was when you were younger.
I was not a cool kid in school.
Okay.
Not at all. And I'm glad now. Because,
but you had good grades. You loved school.
No, you know, I had pretty good grades, but I also got distracted really easily.
Yeah, me too.
So, you know, I think if they had ADHD diagnosed, then to me it was the teacher was just like, if only he would focus, if only he would pay attention.
And they had Ritalin. I think my mom tried to give me Ritalin once for being hyperactive.
I know no such thing as Ritalin. Back in the Stone Age when I was around, because you're many days younger than me, so yeah. They didn't have Ritalin in my time.
1970. So you're in school. Are you starting to meet people who are kind of like you, like you're hanging out with other nerds?
No, So I had a core group of friends from when I was little, and one of them, this kid Morgan, was always the one who was a little bit more into cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I listened to whatever was on. I didn't know. I did like Elton John when I was little.
Yeah, he's cool.
And certain things. But then, he was the one who's like, yo, man, you should listen to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. I'm like, okay. And you listen to that, and it's just, when it clicks, right? And it was like, this is the best. And so he was like, without having an older brother to introduce me to stuff, he was the guy that introduced me to stuff. So first we got into like classic rock, AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. And then he started to get more into metal. And I didn't really follow him into the whole metal thing.
Yeah.
But I still liked the rock. But then the pivotal moment there was he started getting into hardcore, and he gave me the Skins, Brains, and Guts EP.
7 seconds.
And that was it. That was it. And
how old were you then?
Oh man, when did that come out? I don't remember.
81 or 2. I don't know.
So 14 something.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it was probably out for a little while, but anyway. So that was it.
That was your first exposure to any type of punk rock music?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know that I'd heard the Clash before, but it didn't click as to what I'm like. Yeah, this is great. I didn't know what it was.
But 7 seconds, you physically saw the record, whatever, and all that shit.
I had the record. It was the whole package.
That's
right?
cover too.
It was the cover. It was the lyrics. Because I was a nice kid. I wasn't really angry at anything. I didn't like kids that picked on me and shit. But I'm a happy kid. I have my friends and we have fun. And I read the lyrics. I was like, oh my God. This is fantastic. And then, that leads into, you look at things and, there's a picture of a kid wearing a Youth of Today shirt. Let me get Youth of Today album. What's that?
They're actually local boys.
Oh my God. And then that's how it all started.
So you're like 12 years old.
I was probably a little older. Probably like 14 or 15.
Was there pressure around you at that time to try to start partying too?
There were, most of the kids in our neighborhood were all like the full on like smoking, drinking, partying guys.
Yeah.
And Morgan was a little like that too, but that was just something that I just wasn't into. Just something I had a natural aversion to it. I didn't like cigarette smoke. I thought it was gross. And,
Did your parents smoke or drink?
They did originally, growing up, and then my mom quit, but it was the most gross thing in the world.
Yeah.
And my parents were divorced, and my dad would pick me up, and he smoked, like he was a chain smoker. And he picked me up in his car, and I have to sit in this car full of cigarette smoke.
The worst, dude.
And
the windows are up too.
Yeah, and it'd be like the winter. I'm like, please, I gotta roll down the window. And he'd let me roll it down like an inch. And I'd be like sitting there with my nose like a dog, my nose up to the window, like, I gotta get fresh air. Dude. It was brutal, and that just.
And they used to do them on airplanes too. We used to smoke in planes.
That's weird.
My mom was smoking planes.
So anyway,
and kiss me with their wet cigarette lips.
It's so and
worst,
it's
dude.
like everything. It smells.
Your clothes would smell like it.
Skin smells like it, and people wear and then they wear like perfume, and it would smell like cigarette plus polo or cigarette, and so disgusting. Anyway,
so 7 seconds. That's amazing because usually
7
it's like never mind the Bollocks or fucking the Clash or Sex Pistols. I mean the same band.
Well, but I was following. Admittedly I followed Morgan's lead. I didn't have anyone to teach me. So and also being a pretty good kid, I was like, this is great because I don't want to be. There later on you get into the things. This is what I'm against. This is what I'm for. Yeah. But at the time, I was like, listen, I'm a happy, pretty positive kid. I like school. I like
my parents.
I like my parents. And this kind of reflects a lot of positivity. So something I could say, hey mom, look, you don't have to worry about me. I listen to this stuff. Yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah, you must have been a skater too at that time, no?
I started skating. I was never any good. I can't do, I could stand on a skateboard and move. I could make some turns.
Yeah.
Doing tricks was just never in my wheelhouse. Okay. I tried.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I never could do it, but I loved it. It was a huge part of growing up because it was a thing. It was your life. It wasn't just.
And then the punk and hardcore was the soundtrack for it.
That was it, exactly. JFA came soon after.
Sick.
Big Boys,
The Faction,
all that stuff.
McRad.
Yep.
Dude,
and that was it.
Stalag 13, Aggression. There's so many.
Like those bands and what they represented, and 7 Seconds, all that stuff together. Like that was my idea of that is life. That is what I want to do. You know. So.
So did you do sports in school?
Nope. I did them. I failed
7
at them.
seconds. I hate sports.
I played Little League baseball once, and I was spurned from that because I was a catcher. Because I thought having the equipment was cool. So I'm like, I'm a catcher. I got all this fucking stuff on me. And we had to play in the summer one time, and I was sitting there. And at first, so the guy who was the coach was a weird dude, and his son was the pitcher. This kid, this mean little bastard. And I'm the catcher, so he would like purposely try to throw balls really fast to hit me. And at one point, we're playing in the summer. It's hot, it's dusty, and I'm standing there, and I was sitting there, and then it was switching batters. I'm like, ugh. I just laid down in the dirt because I was tired, and I was like, ugh, just for a second. And the parents came running over because they thought that I passed out.
Oh,
but
shit.
I didn't. I'm like, I'm okay. And then he got really mad at me because like, you made us think you were. I'm like, that's it. I'm out of here. I don't need this. Your son's an asshole. I'm gone.
Damn.
And I never played organized sports again.
Ever?
Nope.
Wow.
Little league, that was it. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I wasn't good. I was smaller than most of the other kids, and I didn't have the desire to do it. I tried, sometimes, hey, let's go play some football. Okay, and I'd get crushed. This is a lot of fun being on the bottom of a pile.
That was an underlying going theme pretty much as you were short and you got picked on for being short.
It was a good kid. You know what the thing is, though? It's like, you could be the short henchman, or even the short mastermind like a Napoleon. But I was the nerdy kid, So it's like, oh, let's pick on him for this too. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
So what grade was that when you listened to 7 Seconds?
It was probably in the beginning. Probably it had to be like, I guess it had to be like 15 or 16 because it was beginning of high school. Because I went to a science high school, and Morgan he went to the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan, and that was a lot of subculture influence there. So I got it from him. He was like, and he was almost a year older than me too. Okay, so it's almost like
you are to me.
Wait, is he? August? No, he's not. A couple of months. Okay. I'm wrong, but he was like the older brother. Okay. He got exposed to stuff first and found it, and had the cool friends that introduced it because he was an only child too. Okay. So, that's how it worked out. So
at that time, what were your goals in life and what were you trying to do after school? Did you think about the future at that point when you're that age?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. I just loved, I wanted to be a cleric in Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. Okay. It was fun, but
this music opened another door for you.
Oh, totally did. I was like,
all the freaks and the weirdos. And
that and skateboarding, the whole lifestyle thing.
Thank you, Bones Brigade.
Yeah. So then I've always been looking for Animal Chin. So that's what I started to really want to do. So the quickest way into it was I listened to the music, and I started working at 9th Street Skateboards in Manhattan.
Sick. I remember that spot.
I would take all trains. And I remember, what's crazy is I remember this little crew of kids used to hang out there and always want free stuff. And one of them was Harold Hunter.
Oh, wow.
He was there all the time. Yeah, totally. He was so incredible. And I remember, oh, shit, it's Harold again. You'd give him a deck. You'd give him stickers, whatever you could,
Damn.
But, yeah, he was really cool.
So after the 7 Seconds record, did you go see your first show, or did you get into some more music then and start listening to it at home, and then I'm going to go to my first show?
No, I listened to it at home and stuff. My first rock show was, though? I saw Queen.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Queen at Madison Square Garden.
What year was that?
That was, I think it was 82.
Wow.
But it was the same one. It was the same one that they talk about in the movie when all that crap happened, the Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Brian.
I couldn't believe it. That was it was total fluke.
Who'd you go see that with?
It was because I was in this camp, and they were supposed to take us. It was like this thing. They would take you on day trips places.
Yeah.
So get the kids the hell out of the house, and they were supposed to take us to the beach, and it rained, so camp got canceled that day. They said, "Okay, we're going to make it up to you. We don't know how yet." And then they said, "Okay, well, we got tickets to a concert."
That's fucking crazy.
And it was like, okay,
It was Queen.
It was Queen.
Damn, man.
Billy Squier opened.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So that's your first concert?
That was my first concert.
Okay, so when do you finally go to your first punk show?
I don't remember.
You know what it was?
No, I'd go with Morgan sometimes.
Like
we'd go downtown. It was at CB's, yeah. But I don't. That wasn't the thing that was the most impressionable on me. It was the music and the story behind 7 Seconds and Youth of Today and Gorilla, like that stuff, and so it was more internal than external, right? Like I didn't go to shows and become part of the scene and blah, blah, blah. It was for me.
Yeah. When did you realize? When did you connect to it? Like, holy shit, I'm this age, I'm not doing drugs or alcohol, and I like this crazy aggressive music, and they're actually singing about things I can relate to as a kid, and these guys don't party, and that's fucking awesome. Yeah. So what was one of the staples? Like, what record? What did that to you? Like, really connected to you? After the 7 Seconds 7-inch.
Can't Close My Eyes.
Youth of
EP.
Today, yeah.
You know,
Fucking classic.
Yeah, it was incredible. And, you know, to me, you know, these guys were gods, you know, like, oh my God, these are, you know, but realizing they're really not much older than you.
Yeah.
It really made you feel like it's something you could be involved in.
Part of.
But yeah, that was it. But it wasn't, you know, I'd go to shows, but it was like such an ass pain to get to shows. And I was going to school and I was working.
Yeah.
So I couldn't just spend my life there.
Yeah.
You know, so every once in a while I'd go with Morgan and we would do stuff, but for the most part it was just me listening to EPs. And then
sitting in your room checking the thank you list.
Yeah.
Just reading the lyrics and shit.
Yeah, and like, oh, who's this guy? And then they mention a band, and then you go down and you go to Bleecker Bob's or wherever and try to find that record. It's okay, if these are friends of these guys, then they're cool.
That was the most amazing part of before the internet is like that search, that treasure hunt to find records. And like they said, that guy's wearing he's wearing like a Youth of Today shirt on the record. What is that band? You couldn't Google it.
Nope.
You had to like somehow figure out how to find what that band was, what it meant. Maybe get a Maximum Rock and Roll fanzine where you saw the ad for a T-shirt. Whatever. It was like crazy to find that stuff.
And I remember I was in the city one time. I went in the city and I was just skating around. And I didn't really know where to get records yet.
Yeah.
Like I just got stuff from Morgan. He made me a tape, you know, and I saw that EP. And I saw this kid, like two other kids skate by. And I didn't know him, but one of them was wearing, I caught a corner of my eye, he was wearing a Youth of Today shirt.
Sick.
I'm going to follow this kid around. So I followed him. And they went to Bleecker Bob's. And I was like, oh, this is where you get stuff.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You found the hidden treasure spot. That's amazing.
Treasure. Yeah.
So that's where it all began for that, like getting shirts and all that. And did your parents know you listened to this? Because you say you listen to classical and just regular stuff before that. Were they kind of nervous or weirded out about this music at all? No.
Well, then they heard it. All they hear is, you know, and they're like, uh-oh. But that's why. And the thing is, I love my mom to death, you know, and she sacrificed a whole lot. And you don't realize it when you're a kid. You just see your mom doing her thing. But I mean, not to becoming a parent. And then she went to graduate school to get her master's to get paid more as a teacher because teachers get paid crap anyway to do the best for me that she could. And so I always wanted her approval on that stuff. And, you know, even though there was like profanity and stuff in the lyrics, it was like, look how positive this is.
Yeah.
And she saw it. She was like, okay. Yeah. And not, if she said no, I wouldn't have stopped. But by the same token, I was like, oh, this is good. You know what? This is not going to piss off my mom. I don't want to piss off my mom. She got it hard enough.
Yeah.
That's
amazing because, you know, when people from the outside hear like that kind of music, it's always been the underlying going theme with most of my interviews with people from that scene is that from the outside it looks like a super violent, scary place. In reality, it's a fucking welcoming home away from home. Mm-hmm. You know, and like most of the lyrics is super positive and inspiring. It's not saying go home and burn your fucking house down with your parents in it. You know what I mean? It's not like because
that's what I had to tell her. I was like, look, you know, because she'd hear it coming out of my room. She's like, my God, what are you listening to? It sounds so angry. I was like, it's not. It's expressing things in what may sound like an anger. It's very, very positive and a force for good and change. And here it is.
Yeah. So when did you want to start playing music then? And like, and why the bass?
I never had desire to start playing music. This is a really good story. This is what really totally got me in. You can be the. And after all, this
motherfucker got me drinking coffee.
You are a professional podcaster, so you're a judge. This is like The Voice. You're just sitting there, you can spin your seat around, hit the X.
Let's hear the story.
So I went over to my friend Morgan's house, and I get in there, and I had recently gotten my first car. And I saved up for it. My first car was a 1977. No, it was not a bitchin' Camaro. Okay. Do you want to tell the story?
Tell it.
Okay, well, because you're throwing in things.
Listen, you fucking told me I had to have coffee today. For people listening, this is my third or fourth coffee of 2019. I hate coffee. It tastes disgusting. I'm fucking jittery as hell.
It tastes disgusting. Evil, it tastes disgusting now, but eventually, your
I'm
taste
a green
buds.
Tea motherfucker.
You're a motherfucker.
Okay,
anyway,
let's go.
All right, so. It was an orange Volkswagen camper bus. The thing was great. It felt like a bus driver sitting in it. And it was awesome. No, it's a VW bus. The flat front. You know, you ever see the VW bus?
Scooby-Doo?
No. That's the Mystery Machine.
All right, whatever. Let's keep going.
For most of the people out there, you'll know what a Volkswagen camper bus looks like.
Yeah, I'm not a car person.
No, he's not. Anyway, so I walk into Morgan's house, and this mutual friend of ours, Mike, who I knew was in a band. Mike Patton, my brother, is sitting on the phone, and he's like, fuck, I don't know, man. I'll figure it out. He hangs the phone. I'm like, oh, what happened? The old school rotary dial phone.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, you know, my band has a show tonight, and, you know, I was supposed to rent a van. Something didn't work out. Like, he was trying to get a van. It didn't work
Yeah.
out. And I was like, oh, I said, who are you playing with? Because he'd played with Super Touch.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm playing with this band Token Entry. I'd known Token Entry because of Jay Bird, because of skating. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
So you're already a
Token
fan.
Entry. Yeah, I mean, I knew him, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, dude, I'll take you to the show. Where is it? He's like, it's on Long Island. Listen, I got this Volkswagen camper. We'll throw your shit in. I'll take you. So I took him to the show, and that was it. And I became a Token Entry roadie.
That's
after
amazing.
that. I just became friends with Ernie and Tim, and that was the start of everything.
That must have been like, what, 88, 87?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah,
So
87.
that's when I met you.
Right. So in the band, yeah, because that's when I was roading, and I met at the Outcrowd show
Yep,
when
I
you were
had
roading
dreadlocks.
for that. Yep, and other things. Yeah, and then Mike. It was Mike and this guy Richie, and they
Yeah.
were in for a while. Then they left, and then the Citarella brothers came in,
Yeah.
and that's at the same time when they started doing a little more, different stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then that was I roaded for Token Entry, and then when Token Entry ended, and I remember when Token Entry ended because Ernie called me up and I was like devastated. But
What year was that the ended? What year?
Oh man,
I think Chunks talks about one of the
yeah,
one of the
I
podcasts.
forgot it was probably like 90.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, were you playing the bass at the time?
No, so
You played no
I was
instruments?
playing no instrument,
Okay.
and it ended, and then Ernie said, "Hey, look, I want to start another band." Now let me back it up. I did start to play the bass because when I'm roading now I'm into music, right?
Yeah,
I think this is
you're
really cool.
On live concerts with them. Yeah.
So Ernie gave me a bass that
Okay.
he had, and he kind of taught me the basics of, because he's incredible with
Yeah,
music. He's an artist, a
true
sculptor,
musician, yeah,
a writer.
for
He
sure.
can play everything.
All-around artist.
So he showed me how to play bass, and then once in a while at Token Entry shows, we would like have this. We had this other band. I don't remember what the hell we called it, but Timmy was playing drums, and
Yeah.
Rob, who was
Rob
Black Train
Vitale,
Jack
Black Train
vocalist,
Jack.
he was a roadie too, and he had a van, Big Blue, and he would sing. I'd play bass,
Yeah.
Ernie would play guitar, and Timmy would play drums, and we would play like one or two songs. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then when Token Entry ended, Ernie's like, "Hey, why don't we do a band?" I was like, okay.
And what were you doing at that moment in your life? Where were you working? What were you at college? Like, what were you doing?
That at that moment of my life, I was actually, so this goes back. So this was in college, right? Because Ernie and I went to Queens College together.
Gotcha.
And, I was roading for them. It was great. It was fun. I, in college, joined Army ROTC.
Okay.
And I will tell you why. Because when I tell people that, when they see who I am today, and it's like the polar opposite of like punk rock, hardcore, right? Right. What the hell is that about? But for me, growing up, I read about World War II. I read about history. So to me, I wasn't thinking along the military-industrial complex lines. I was thinking along the lines that I'm an American citizen, and there's a lot of other people who sacrificed a lot so that we have the freedoms that we have today.
Totally.
Right?
I love that.
And I said, hello. And I said, I should do that. I should do something too. I should do something to contribute to that. Make a difference. So
coming from the hardcore scene too, I think it's awesome.
So I did that. And so I was actually at Airborne School.
Okay.
When Ernie
hit you up,
when he called me and he told me, and it was just like I was devastated because I loved what we were doing. I loved Token Entry. I thought they were the greatest, and
I love them too.
And Timmy and Ernie at the time, they were my best friends.
Yeah.
And Timmy, we would skate all the time together, and he was the one. He got on Jack's team, and then he made me a Jack, and the whole
That's a West Coast
story,
skate
West
crew
Coast
team,
and Canada thing. It's,
the Jacks. Look them up, people. The Jack skate team.
Unbelievable. Such
shit.
interesting history, and a lot of bands too involved
Yeah.
with from Jack's. Absolute music.
Yeah.
So anyway, but Timmy and his family like treated me like their own son. I'd go there and eat, and we'd hang out, and we'd go skate together, and
Queens.
In Queens, hitting little parking lots.
Yeah.
And I'd do the same thing with Ernie. It was just such a cool time. It was so much fun. But he told me, so yeah, to me, I was like, oh shit, this is ending. Oh no. You know,
I remember heard that show. It's really bummed.
Yeah, and you know, and at the time, and I liked Weight of the World when
I
they first
shout on there
too. You know, yeah.
We'll shout on the song.
And Tim, they did Brian and Tim's Excellent Adventure.
That's right.
That was us
That's right.
going
Both
around
got
skating.
shout-outs on the record. Yeah.
So
Weight of the World record. Look it up, everybody.
Yeah,
Token
it's
entry.
different. It's different.
I liked it too, man.
It's a different vibe, but it's great.
Go Back Home was a song that they sing about me on there.
Yeah.
Never want to go back
That's right.
home. With a sack flat, with the lap back, laid back, watch Toby sack
flap.
flap.
And that was all about. That was from that night from the Outcrowd show.
That's right. Oh shit, you're right.
Where it's that kid's house.
Wow.
And that. So not to. I mean, I know this is going on a lot
That's
of different tangents.
People like the vibe.
But it's the funniest thing. Like I tell people today, or like I tell my daughter how like you and I became friends. I'm like, we just, you know, there was true romance, true bromance when we met at that Outcrowd show, and when we used to write letters to each other.
Yes.
Remember, we were pen pals.
That's crazy.
Writing from Maryland.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was so funny. We'd send pictures of each other. Oh, it's me, I'm doing this. You'd send me a patch. I'd send you things back and forth.
Wow, man.
Remember?
That's amazing, Brian. I totally forgot about that.
I didn't.
That's awesome.
Obviously, you meant more to me than I meant to you. You just crushed me.
So yeah, for people that are just listening to the podcast that haven't started from the beginning with my mom's episode, just to rewind a little bit, is that I ended up moving to New York City in 1988 to live with Timmy Chunks from Token Entry in Flushing, Queens. We were pen pals as well, and we moved out there because of this whole Token Entry connection, and that's how I met Brian back there in 1988. And we've been friends ever since. Okay, let's go back. Token Entry.
Token Entry ends.
You're in the military. They want to start a new band.
Right. So I was in the reserves. I wasn't active duty. I was like, that's a little more than I wanted to do. So I figured I was playing my part by doing the Army Reserves.
Yeah.
And it was what was really cool too is it was just always, it was a very different thing than regular life.
Yeah.
So it was a whole other interesting side. But anyway.
What, music you mean?
No. The Army thing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But you know, what's funny is I've gotten heat for it before, right? Because of the scene that we're in. It seems to be the polar.
You can't be punk rock and hardcore, but also fight for the country. You can't do that.
Or you know, like what is this? You know, that's the antithesis of punk rock, supposedly, right? But interestingly, and I just got to remember the guy's name. There was an interview on BBC with Raymond Santana.
Okay.
He was one of the Central Park 5 guys that got exonerated.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And what was interesting is a
great,
incredible story, incredible interview on BBC. It's still up on there.
And the doc series is out now, too. It's great.
So, and in the interview, they asked him, you know, if his feelings have changed about the police now and everything. And he goes, it did. It took him a long time to not be looking over his shoulder, right? But he said it did now. He said, like anything else, most people are good. There are bad apples that, you know, you got to get rid of.
Yeah.
Right. And what he said, and this is the kind of way that I've always felt about stuff, is like, you want to change something and make it better, become a part of it. Become a cop.
Infiltrate the system.
Right.
Quote Madball.
Yeah. Become a cop. Become a lawyer. Become this. Become that.
Yeah.
And be the change that you want to. Don't just scream and yell and expect something to happen. Get in there and do it, and then make that change. So I did that, and like for me, I went into the Army. And I'm in this officer basic course in Georgia. People like, you know, the first time we go do some physical training together, I got on shorts. I got tattoos. Oh, are you some kind of fucking freak, boy? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I am some kind of fucking freak, boy. Let's go. You know, and the thing is, but then, you know, I would tell these guys what I was about, and then these like total redneck dudes from the middle of nowhere, or I shouldn't say nowhere, it's not fair to the other states, from the middle of some other nice place we would talk about it. Yeah. And they would say, wow, you know, I always would look at people that looked like you and be like, that guy's a scumbag, but you're not. It's like, that's right. And I'd look at guys like you and think that you probably hate guys like me. And I was right, but now there's one that doesn't. And now you can tell your friends that, hey, yeah, you know what? I know this freaking tattooed freaky dude who had green hair before he came to do this training course. Yeah. And you know what I mean?
Awesome.
That's it.
I love that.
Change it from the inside.
So when Ernie hits you up at that moment and that's happening for you, like, what do you do?
I did it. I better learn to play bass a little bit. And I still say to myself, I better learn to play bass because you know.
How fast did that happen, though? How fast that
It
band
was
start?
pretty fast. I mean, man.
We're talking about Black Train Jack, ladies and gentlemen.
Black Train Jack.
Wonderful
I
band.
have the worst memory for like time, like exact dates and stuff, unlike you. But I don't remember. But it went fast, and and Ernie, again, incredibly gifted guy. He came up. Here are some songs, and we had some stuff from then we were doing. I think we were calling it Rhythm Stick.
Okay.
When we were playing. So, but there was another little break point, because between Token Entry and Black Train Jack, Ernie and Joe from In Your Face started and Timmy too did this other band, Youth Tsunami.
Youth Tsunami.
That's what they called it.
Never heard
And
that.
they started, and actually they played a show in Philly. It was them and Fugazi.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I first met Ian.
Holy
and
shit.
like blown away, right? But the early Fugazi days.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
I mean, and the thing is, back then I didn't realize, like, when I think about it now, it's like I was like hanging out on stage at this it's a school that they played, and I'm watching Fugazi. And thinking about that now, like I would, I'd be willing to go without this arm to do that
again.
now.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. You're in that moment. You don't think about how crazy and important it is. And
like we're going down in the parking lot to go get a burrito, and they're seeing, hey, Ian, what's going on? You need anything? No, I'm good, thanks. All right, bye. It's like I didn't even think about it. Like, holy crap! But
that's awesome.
But so they did that, and then I remember there was another band though called Tsunami.
Yeah.
And they got in touch with like
Tsunami Bomb or something. I don't know,
Tsunami Bomb.
Yeah.
They were Discord, right? Weren't they? Or
no,
something?
I think they were like Fat Records or something, maybe.
I don't know.
Or Nitro, one of those labels.
Anyway,
I remember they played some shows.
There was this band, and they were like, yeah, that name's not going to work.
You changed the name.
Too similar. And I don't know the dynamics of what exactly happened then, but then that's what Black Train Jack.
And where'd that
came
name
out of.
come from? Black Train Jack.
So I'll tell you the story. You have time, right? It's a podcast. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, we're chilling.
And you're a professional, so you can tell me if this goes out of your guidelines.
That's fine.
So I had the Volkswagen camper, unfortunately, died.
Shit the bed.
It'd been a really bad, like a middle upstate New York. I had to, get it right. It was awful.
Okay.
I still miss that thing. Anyway, so that was gone. And I found a used Suzuki Samurai, like
Awesome.
a total death wagon.
Yeah.
Right? So Ernie and I used to, it was a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
So we would just cruise around. They took the top off and we blasted music, having a good time. And we were driving around, and Ernie lived in Astoria.
Yeah.
Right? And there was this Con Ed plant there where the pyramids were.
Yep.
Okay, the famous skating lore pyramids. So we were driving around, and Ernie had come up. He wanted to call the band Fire Dog.
Okay.
And we were driving around, and we were driving, and it rained a couple days before.
Yeah.
And we see this big field of like mud.
Okay.
Where we could get to. I'm like, let's go drive around that mud. So we go and we're putting the 4-wheel drive. We're driving on the mud. Mud's flying up in air. It's getting inside you. And we're from New York City, so this is like to some people who do like ATVs and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, mud. This is nothing. To us, this was like, we were virgin mud guys.
Yeah. You were in
mud
heaven.
getting everywhere. It's all over us. It's in things. The whole car was like wet and brown afterwards. But then what we realized is it was not mud. It was actually sewage. Because it was mud from a sewage, like we were right by a sewage treatment plant, and the heavy rains had made stuff seep up. Because as we're driving, like, man, it smells like shit.
Oh my god!
So we basically got completely covered in shit mud, like, but while we were driving, so the point is that was funny in and of itself.
Yeah.
But while we were driving, we were listening to Rollins Band.
Got you.
And in one of the songs, you've got a ticket on the Black Train, Jack.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and Ernie's like, oh, Black Train Jack. I was like, yeah. And that was it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Black
That
Train
story's
Jack.
never been told. I never knew that, man. That's amazing.
Never been told. And we thought of it while like literally covered in shit.
So that's the name.
That was the name.
You got the name. You got some songs.
Got some songs.
And do you remember Black Train Jack's first show?
I don't. I do remember though that the day that we decided on the band, it was very soon after, and we knew things were going to be good because it was New Year's Eve, and we went to some Greek place, and the guy was like, "It's New Year's Eve." You're not paying for your meal. Guy treated us in his restaurant to a dinner just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the same day that we came up with the name.
Awesome.
I could be getting stuff confused, but we're old. It's okay to get things confused. Dates, I don't remember.
So what year was that? The Black Train Jack was officially.
I don't remember.
Okay.
92.
So how long? How long were you military for?
Well, I signed up when I was in college, 89, and then in 1991 I got commissioned as a lieutenant, and I was a junior in college.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how many years you stay there? And we spent there
in the Army Reserve. I did 18 years in the Army Reserve.
Wow.
Yeah.
Desert Storm and all that stuff, right?
Desert Storm happened, and I had not gone to my officer basic course yet, so I was not technically qualified to go.
Okay.
So I did not have to go to that.
So you were balancing being in the military and being a Black Train Jack?
Well, it's more that. So, I was working at different skate jobs.
Yep.
After 9th Street, I started working at Soho Skateboards.
Yeah, Soho Skates.
Which you found out more about later, which you didn't realize it was not just a skate shop. And then I had been working selling skateboards and snowboards at Paragon.
Paragon, yeah.
Downtown.
Paragon Sports, yeah.
And that's when, Black Train Jack started doing stuff, and we started playing shows and touring. So I was getting involved in the snowboard industry. Yeah. And so that was it. So it was like juggling a couple of things. It was the band, which was a ton of fun. I was working in, tuning up snowboards, but the beginning of the industry when it was first getting, interesting, and skateboarding. So it's cool seeing the industry side of that.
Yeah.
So I was loving life, man. I was like, every once in a while I do this Army stuff, which is totally different. And during the week, I'm tuning snowboards and playing shows on weekends with my best friends.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So when did Black Train Jack become, or did it ever become in your mind that it could be a career or was taking off? Like, what was the one show? Or is there a moment where you're like, holy shit, we could actually do this band. It's people care and we can travel the world doing this shit.
Oh, I mean, it happened pretty fast, and it was because of Token Entry and the connections to Hawker Records and Roadrunner.
Hawker Records.
Yeah, and so Howie Abrams was our A&R guy.
Yeah.
And
what up, Howie?
And hey, I love seeing his stuff. He's doing incredible stuff.
Doing great.
So, it was a blast, and to me, it was like swirling around me. Like to me, Ernie knew this stuff. Rob's a great singer, and it was just swirling around me. I'm like, I just learned how to play bass to do this. Yeah. This is like, I'm so incredibly lucky to be doing this.
Yeah, you're really holding on at this moment.
So, it was, we were, doing shows, then more shows, then we do a record.
So you got signed to Roadrunner Records.
Yeah.
How did that come about? For the first album.
As far as the details, I don't really know.
Okay.
But I do know that it was, because of the connections with Hawker and because that was done through Roadrunner and that was it. So
making that record, do you remember how long it took you to make it?
I think it was 2 weeks or a week.
And who produced that?
Oh my God. I'm so terrible with this stuff, man.
And that was your first actual record? It must have been an exciting moment to make an album.
Yeah. Well, because to me, it just happened so fast. And I was like, I was just like, you know how like if you're in a car or something, or a car speeds at you and it just misses you and you're like, I am so lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
I was like living that feeling. Like I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
So sometimes I didn't even pay attention, honestly. I was like, I just did what I had to do. I played bass. I loved it. And
you juggling a couple things too at the time.
I just enjoyed it, man. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
You were along for the ride. You want to deal with the business. You just want to play and have fun.
Yeah. And you had to eventually deal with the business, but I just don't remember all the dates and stuff because that wasn't what was super important.
What I loved about Black Train Jack, and I said that to Rob too on the episode that's coming out soon, is that the melody and there was also hard breakdowns for like the kids like the mosh, but there was also the melodies there and the lyrics. And for that time in New York, everything was really hard and chugga and street. And you guys came out and it was just like a breath of fresh air. And Rob can really sing as like a trained fucking singer, like an opera singer, and just singing and just like the songs. And it was just the timing was so perfect. But I'm sure to some people they weren't expecting that type of music at that time in the New York hardcore scene.
It was so different. And so I, like I was telling you, like I got introduced and influenced more by the West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I was really into that stuff at this point. So I hadn't even been involved. I wasn't involved in the New York scene really at all.
Yeah.
And I started here. There was some angry, violent stuff.
Totally.
And it was like a breath of fresh air. But the coolest thing was that the scene, because of what it was, and because of Ernie definitely had the bona fides from Token Entry and Timmy and stuff. It was just accepted.
Totally.
And we would be playing shows with, Sick of It All and Agnostic Friends. We'd play these shows that were like, and the kids would be like moshing hard and slamming. They would love our stuff too.
You guys had great breakdowns, but
it was
just
great.
Sick melodies too. I love the combo of it.
Yeah. And that's something, I mean, I got to tell you, like we would go into the rehearsal studio and we would all do our thing. But Ernie came up with the foundation of that stuff. He's so talented,
a great songwriter.
man.
Yeah, man.
And it was just the blast.
Was there any weird blowback when you guys came out for being too melodic at that time? Was there any weirdness?
Oh, not that I knew of, man.
Yeah.
To me, it was just fun, right? I didn't care the scene or this or that. Like we would be playing one night. We'd play a show, and we I don't know, other bands like New York hardcore bands would be playing, and then we'd go and we'd play shows with the Lunatics.
Yeah,
and we'd play shows with Degeneration.
Yeah,
and
diverse bills. I love
it. Was so fun.
And you guys could hang on any type of bill. That's why I like that.
Yeah,
I love that. So when that record came out, was there initial reaction of everybody's excited? Like when that first record dropped,
I was excited.
Yeah, you guys were psyched, and did people love it at first?
It seemed to be, yeah.
We
did. We did some great shows and great tours.
Leading up to the release too. You guys were working hard. Yeah,
we just played weekends and had mostly Pennsylvania was our second home.
Totally.
We played a ton of shows out there and made some incredible friends.
Unisound.
Club Unisound.
Unisound was sick.
It was incredible.
Yeah, man.
And that was more fun than playing in the city. I mean, you go out there and the kids that we met out there, like these guys, John Taglieber and Matt Matacola and all these different dudes, and Eric Walsh, who was our roadie.
Dope.
They were just the nicest, coolest kids. And they had been there from the Token Entry days.
Totally.
Like there was this whole crew that came to Token Entry shows, and they stuck with it. And man, it was just so cool.
Yeah. So that record dropped, and then you guys started hitting the road.
We were hitting the road. It was good. We had a, we were doing things with the label, and having fun. And that was it, man. We bought a little, we got some money together and bought a used short school bus.
It was great. The blue bus. Yeah, man. We used that before.
No, the blue van, that was Big Blue. That was Rob's van.
Got you.
School bus.
But I used the bus before.
Yeah, you'd used the bus before too.
That before, yeah.
So that was that was a different thing. And then so that was it. That when we just started playing.
What about your first time headlining as Black Train Jack when the record,
Again, like I wouldn't even remember.
I'm glad I interviewed Rob because he has a lot of answers.
I can't.
What about playing out of the country?
I could tell you more about feeling. Playing out of the country for the first time was great. I mean,
and who was it with? When was it?
We went to Europe with Sick of It All.
Gotcha.
It was awesome.
They brought us to Europe too for our first tour, '94. That's amazing.
It was incredible, and I mean, you really, learned a lot.
Totally.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch everything Craig does,
and
do what Craig does. Okay, you have your gig clothes, you have your stinky strap, you keep them all together, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And it was incredible to watch him play.
You learned the ropes and shit.
Totally. And hanging out with Pete and Lou. First of all, they're the funniest friggin' dudes.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff they'd say to each other, I was like pissing in my pants laughing.
They still break each other's balls too to this day.
Yeah. I mean, so that was incredible.
Yeah.
And again, and I think one of the reasons that I don't remember dates and stuff and things like that is because I wasn't focused on that. Like it was a whole
in the moment.
It was a different world for me.
Yeah.
And I was watching things happen. Like I still like it was yesterday though. I remember the moment. Like I remember H2O and Black Train Jack playing at the Wetlands, and Tim and Lars were there. Remember? And Lars came up. He sang "Guy Like Me."
Oh shit, that's right.
You guys opened the show. It was incredible. I mean, that's like I remember, and that's the kind of stuff I remember. I remember the feeling and the
but some key moments you remember.
Yeah. I don't. Yes, October 14th, 1994. I don't remember that stuff.
So then the second record comes out.
And that was awesome.
No Reward was the first one. And then
No Reward was first. Then You're Not Alone. Yeah.
Not Alone. Yeah. You're in this alone. Sorry, Youth of Today. So those both records are bangers. I love both those records front to back. They sound great. Their songs are great. So that time you guys are really doing well.
We were doing really well. Yeah, we
headlining shows, touring.
Yep, we had I think with our Roadrunner contract, we had one record left to do. I think it was supposed to be a live record.
Okay.
And I had heard that Atlantic wanted to pick us up from there. And it was starting to be a thing where, like, we were spending a lot of time on the road.
Yeah.
And it was hard, though, because, people tend to think that, well, if a band's touring, they must be doing great.
Yeah.
And then,
meanwhile, you're working at a skate shop and you're in the military.
they're on a label. They must be rolling in dough.
So
and
true.
We'd come back from tours. I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out how I'm going to get my car insurance back.
Yeah.
How I'm going to, con my friend to lend me money for rent, because you weren't making money, So anyway.
So there wasn't a moment where you're like, oh my God, things are going great. This could be a career. I could be a musician now.
No, it was. I mean, that's what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is better than anything else. It's certainly better than working in a snowboard shop.
Yeah.
The Army is great, and that was a different thing that as opposed to a career. It wasn't a career. That was just a calling and something I figured I was just giving back, right?
Yeah.
But I was like,
I like that you saw the military as you were giving back your services, and it wasn't like, I'm going to go here because I know what I'm going to do now. Because some people go from school because they want to figure out or become more responsible and get like a workout regimen or different reasons why people go military, of course. And I love the military, respect the military, and I appreciate the military. But you went and just gave yourself to give back to help others. And I've never heard anybody say that to me. I know it means that to a lot of military people too. I'm sure they do the same reason. But just sitting down with you and hearing you say like, I did that to give my services back to help people. That means a lot. And I feel like that came from, obviously you're a good, positive kid who got picked on, but then you found this hardcore music about community and unity and family and all this shit. And that kind of punk rock ethics and the shit you learned from that community, you wanted to go help people.
Right.
And that's pretty amazing.
That was part of it. I mean,
I love that.
The military thing.
It was like, I'm going to go there and get paid and all that. So he was going to go. And,
no, and granted, you did get paid, and it was nice.
Yeah.
But it was always just something in your back pocket. But it was a thing where you feel like I'm doing something that's supposed to be for my country. I'm able to now influence things in a way that I think is right. It's not just someone else. Now I can give orders, but I'm going to be cool.
Yeah.
Based on my principles and my morals.
Yeah, I love that.
So I tried to bring that into it.
Shout out to everybody in the military, keeping us safe. I appreciate you. I have a lot of family and friends who are in the military. My Uncle Ray and my dad and my grandfather all in some important historical.
And some did it willingly, and some did it unwillingly. But at the end of the day, people did it. Well, that was the thing. I remember what really made me say I should do this. Well, God bless them that they served and were injured too. I like building models, and when I was like 5-6 years old, and I got this book about how to paint certain models, and it showed like little guys in little uniform and how to paint them and what colors and everything.
Yeah.
And to me, war and the military, that was all World War II.
Yeah.
And World War I, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at this thing, it's like, U.S. soldier, and it showed like a guy on a radio and how to paint the colors accurately.
Yeah.
And it said Vietnam War, 1967 to 1975. And I'm like, it was 1976. And I was like, what?
Holy shit.
This is going on. Like, there's people now who were fighting for something. I mean, I didn't know the politics of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that my mom took me to anti-Vietnam War protests in a stroller, but so I was an early protester.
Yeah.
But, I was like, oh my God. And it really just hit home that like, oh my God, this is not something that's just the past.
Yeah.
This is the present. Anyway, whatever.
No, that's amazing. And what you were saying earlier about maybe people kind of got weird about you being in the hardcore punk scene and going to the military, maybe thought that was kind of weird, but at the same time, everybody's rocking camouflage shorts.
That's right.
And representing whether they want to or not.
No, so I would tell people. I mean, I would never try to hide it.
Yeah.
But I told people why I did it too. I was like, look, you know what? At the end of the day, I think that we're lucky to have the freedoms that we have.
Yeah.
Our country has an assload of problems, but we are also very good at fixing them.
Yeah.
And things go in different cycles.
Yeah.
And we're in an interesting cycle right now, but it's also. We're a very resilient nation,
totally.
and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. So you dedicated to most of your life. We won't get into details about whatever you're up to now, but you've dedicated a lot of your life to serving and protecting this country and
being in music.
And being in music. I appreciate you for that. But we're gonna go back now. Back to Token Entry. Back to Black Train Jack. You got me on coffee. You fuck. Back to second.
Could I just tell you? So we have like regular medium-sized plastic to-go cups of coffee.
Doesn't matter, dude. I
Mine
never
is
drink
empty. Yours, you have literally an inch of coffee gone. The rest of it is full.
Man. It makes me jittery.
Clearly, you can't.
Here's what happens.
So I'm going to take this away from you.
So it makes me jittery, and then I got to shit myself.
The doctor says caffeine makes me nervous.
And then I got to shit myself, and then I got to take a quick power nap, and then I get dehydrated, and then I get cranky. So it's really not a good thing for me.
You don't get dehydrated from coffee. It's a myth. Anyway.
So here we go. Black Train Jack, second album.
Second album. It's out. We're touring.
You're not alone.
Things seem great. And we were loving it. I mean, and for especially, Rob and I, and Nick, and all of us, and it was a big thing. This is what we do.
Yeah.
But there were other personal things that I'm not going to get into because it's not my story of other things that people had going on with families and things that were changed people's minds about, do I need to be on the road half the year?
Was this when the band was at its prime and the highest and the biggest?
Yeah. I mean, we had great management at the time. We had, Roadrunner was great. Howie was great. And we were looking past that. But as far as people's lives at the time, me and Rob, we had nothing. We were ready to go. And Ernie and Nick, I think there were different things going on that at the time were very hard for me to understand and deal with. So I kind of girded myself. When Black Train Jack was coming to an end, we had to start to turn down some tours that would have been very, very good for the band.
Big tours.
Very big tours. And we had to turn down some stuff that was very, very disheartening. My defense against that was saying, okay, you know what? That phase is over. Now it's time to do something else.
Okay.
But that was never really the case. It was me telling myself that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was upset. I still stayed friends with Ernie. But it was pretty depressing because that's what, your whole life. So my reaction was I tried to completely shut everything out. I didn't go to shows anymore. I didn't want to, because it was depressing.
So what year was that? Was it the end of a tour? Did you have a band meeting or just like what was the final word?
Yeah, it was pretty much a band meeting at our manager's house. And we were sitting there and we were offered these tours and we were like, no, we can't do it. And Ernie and Nick were both of the mindset that like, look, this got to a point that we don't want it to be. We don't want to be a full-time band. This is turning into too much of a business. We wanted it to be like a real New York band, play shows on the weekends once in a while. And
just have fun.
Yeah, just have fun. And I respect that now. At the time, when it's all you have, and it was like the coolest thing you've ever done in your life and the most fun and most rewarding, I was like, I don't want this to end. But it did, I remember one time, like the thing that really got me was, and you've experienced this 1,000-fold to me, but it's probably the most important thing you can experience when you do something positive is we would have kids at shows saying what a difference the band made to them and how it changed their lives for the better. I remember getting a letter from a kid, and I wish I remembered the kid's name, and he said, hey, I had a very, very rough life. My, girlfriend got, sexually assaulted and this and that, and she left me, and I started doing drugs, and I came across, No Reward, and something about that song just changed something in me.
Yeah,
I gave up drugs. I got together with my girl again. I helped her get her life straight, and thanks to you guys, you changed the course of my life for the better. I'd be dead or in jail, and you changed the course. And when I heard that, it's like I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it now.
Man,
like I feel it because I remember how 7 Seconds and Minor Threat and Dag Nasty and bands like that, how they made me feel, and how they changed my life, and how you could never possibly repay that debt.
No.
And I know for you, like you meet people nowadays and they're like, you become your friends, but you're
wild,
still
man.
like, oh my God, this
It's
guy,
surreal.
like Kevin, right?
He'll never know the impact, even though
You could tell him it's never you did never know. And you could never, that's a debt you could never repay.
Exactly.
And when people say stuff like that to you, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best occupation in the world. I'm having a blast and helping
fun with
people,
my friends, inspiring people.
Inspiring people. That's
It's
the coolest
amazing,
thing in the
man.
world.
It is, man.
And I mean, and like I said, you know that a millionfold between One Life, One Chance and the band.
Yeah.
And, just the way you are, period. Anyway, so giving up that was really hard. But I always, after that, I kept it a part of my life. I got more involved in the snowboard industry.
Okay.
And
did you guys stop talking at that time?
No, well, Nick kind of went and did his own thing, and he did great for himself. And we're friends now, and he got into some real estate stuff.
Right.
It was great. Ernie went and did his graphic design stuff and more, and he's still doing it. So, so after that, first it was like, I'm shutting it out, but you can't ever shut it out, right? It was very artificial.
No,
I was
man.
I was denying myself the grieving process.
That's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah,
And
all of a sudden, everything you love is just all of a sudden stops.
Yeah, so
I get it,
so
man.
you can either accept it and for what it is and move on, which I've learned to after 50 years.
Yeah.
Or you could be a dick like me and pretend it never happened. And so I did that for a couple months, didn't work out. So Rob and I I always had loved the music Ernie did. Ernie, he had just gotten married at the time, and we definitely went apart a little bit.
Yeah.
But he was building his life.
Yeah.
Hard for me to understand from a selfish perspective, like what happened to my best friend.
Yeah.
Timmy moved out west,
Yep.
and Nick was doing his thing, and Rob I stayed in touch with because Rob and I were both more similar in that that's what we wanted our lives to be about.
Yes.
So we started 9 Lives, and that was fun. I mean, went to Japan with you guys.
That was
had
amazing.
a blast.
Such a great tour. What year was that? Early 2000s or something?
Yeah. No, it was before that. It was
was?
it had to be 90. I think it was 98 or 99.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was great.
It was great. And
the cover of that magazine, Doll
yeah,
magazine.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I look like an idiot on that. I made the stupidest freaking. I look like such a moron. But but
Yeah, 9 Lives is great too, man.
yeah, it was never to me what Black Train Jack was, but when you have something like that, it was weird. It's kind of like Black Train Jack. There was this confluence of circumstances that just. It was what it was at a very special time. It was a special thing.
Had your moments.
And
Had your time.
and when 9 Lives came around, that stuff was already like okay. So we were doing wasn't the same feeling as Black
Yeah.
Train Jack,
Yeah.
But I still loved it, and Rob's one of my closest friends. And we had a series of different people in the band, but it was different too because we came from Black Train Jack came from Token Entry, and we were
Yeah.
roadies. We became all were best friends. It was
Yeah.
a little different with 9 Lives,
Yeah.
but we still had a blast. We did the tour with you. We had some good guys in the band
I think Rusty played guitar for a second.
for a little while. He did,
Awesome.
yeah. When H Show was on a hiatus,
Yes.
and
remember
and TF played drums.
That's right. I remember that.
So that was fun. I like the stuff Rusty writes, man. He's also got some incredible stuff going on.
Yeah.
In that strange brain.
Totally.
But so
what year was 9 Lives for people listening? That was late. That was
97,
later. Yeah, it was
98,
up-
99.
Yeah.
And it kept going, and we had a lot of fun. We did some great tours. Played with some great bands. We did the whole U.S. tour with Down by Law.
Yeah.
We played some shows with them. Wait, did we? Was that Black Train Jack? Black Train Jack did Down by Law. I don't remember, but 9 Lives definitely did some shows. Shades Apart.
Yeah,
I really
remember
like
them.
Shades
Yeah,
Apart,
Jersey,
man.
Yeah, man. Great bands.
And there were so many things with Black Train Jack that were at interesting times, like the Bouncing Souls.
Yep.
Before they were the entity that they are now. I mean, we were playing shows in their house. Token Entry shows, and then Black Train Jack shows, and they were some of the coolest guys, man. And and seeing them become what they've become too.
Yeah, man.
Like I love it. I'm definitely.
It was so-called something Street House, 9th Street House. I forget the house.
I don't
it was
remember
called. I
either,
that.
but
There
it was
shows
so.
there.
It was so. What an incredible
It was
scene!
a crazy. It was an amazing time back then.
It was watching these bands come up, and the thing that's really cool now is just seeing. There's a lot of success stories, and people not just in music, but the people who are like seeing where the souls are now. Like, I hung out with Brian at a show last year.
Yeah.
And we text once in a while. It's so cool to see what those guys have become.
And he's tattooing now and stuff.
Yeah.
Shop.
It's so cool. And Pete was always like one of the nicest dudes.
Yep.
He played guitar and I played bass for the first Token Entry reunion at Wetlands.
Oh shit!
That
I know
was fun.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That made me feel like more part of Token Entry. I was like, oh my God.
Did you ever feel not part of the New York hardcore scene because you guys were so different? Because when you weren't playing shows, you were in the military and you were working. Were you going to shows like religiously every weekend on Sunday matinees?
I did.
Like,
To me, I was always like, some of my, like my best friends are part of the scene.
Yeah.
I was always more on the periphery.
Yeah.
I was never like a scene guy.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? People knew me because of roading for Token Entry or because of Black Train Jack, but I was never.
But did you
the
feel
guy.
weird for being a military person and coming to shows after that?
No.
Did you have a different perspective looking at the scene? Anything like that?
No, I thought it was awesome because
Yeah.
to me it wasn't about tough guy violent stuff, but
Yeah.
even the people who were into that were always the nicest, coolest people.
Totally.
And it was to me the best. It was a surrogate family.
100%.
And not having any brothers or sisters and for a single parent household, that it meant a lot.
Yeah.
To have
Did
that.
your mom was so proud of you when the band she came to see your shows and
She
stuff?
did.
And
She came to a couple of shows.
Yeah.
And when he played certain shows in the city where there was places to sit down, that's when Rob's parents would come and mine. His parents would come and like they'd be in the mosh pit.
Yeah.
But my mom would like to sit and watch. That's so cool.
And what about Pops?
Pops was so my mom got remarried and Phil was always super supportive with her. And they'd come to shows together and see
Yeah.
stuff. So super cool, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
But original Pops.
Original Pops in the wind. And, every once in a while he'd pop up and usually it was for something like negative, like, why is this bill in my name for several $1,000s? Oh, because you forged my signature on something
Wow. So let's go back to that for a second because I have dad issues also. But like, what about your dad? When was it that he left your mom, and did you see him after that? Was it a weird?
They got
split?
divorced. They got divorced in '76, and
Okay.
it was bad. I mean, I remember fights and words that I hadn't heard before, and things. It was just like, why is he doing this to my mother? Like it was never violent that I saw. Might have been. And my mom, like most moms, try to protect their kids, even when
100%.
they're, 35, 45 years old. They don't want to tell them the truth. So I still don't know. Like, I literally did not find out until, like, I was 37 that my dad had an issue with drugs. No freaking idea. And I got mad at my mom for that because I'm like, listen, I was like, I've been involved in this music scene, going to shows and stuff. Because it's like, I mean, we're talking about it. I'm giving you like moments, but I went to a lot of shows and was downtown a lot, and exposed to a lot of different things.
But you also like one of my only adult friends who had like a real career and a real job and stability, and you always focus on. You never left focus of like going to college and doing what you want to do. You juggled the military and playing music, and I love that about you. You always had like a plan A, B, and C, and you always focused on that.
Luckily it turned out to be a plan. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to experience different things and have fun. And I looked for the stability because you do not have stability when your parents get divorced and your mom's a teacher and your dad doesn't pay child support and there's a lot of stuff going on, but he, I don't want to, he passed away and you don't want to talk negatively about the dead, but I remember like I found out, I didn't even know where he was. And I get this call and I knew it was going to happen one day. It was like, I'm going to get a call out of the blue and it's going to be some guy. He's like, are you this guy? Yeah, your dad's dead. And it's sure enough, that's what happened.
Holy, how old were you when that happened?
I was
40.
Probably like 42. Yeah.
Did you get to ever go back and talk to him about like the stuff he went through when you found out at 37 that he was on drugs and stuff?
Nope. Yeah, never, because he'd pop up and then I would ask him and he'd never want to talk about, I don't know, your mom's not telling you, let's not talk about that though. Let's just hang out. And then he'd disappear again. I remember
in and out of your life like that.
And that's, he was gone. I had no idea where he used to pick me up on weekends pretty regularly. He would always be very late. And then one weekend, he didn't show up.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, I'll be there too. Okay.
How old
gone.
Were you? How were you then?
I don't remember. I swear to God, I got the worst memory for
I
that
feel
shit.
like you have, what's that memory called? Fuck, I don't know.
Shitty?
No, but sometimes when you have these things, I'm not saying that for you it's like a tragic moment, but sometimes we block out these things. I'm guilty of doing that too about my dad and.
Well, I remember the stuff. Selective memory. I just don't remember the dates. Like I remember the things that happened.
Or some things you just don't care, you don't want to, or maybe it brings back a memory. I don't know. Maybe I'm digging too deep into it. But especially about dad shit, like I find myself like my moon, because my wife knows everything about her whole life and her dad and all that stuff. But for me, she knows more about that than me. Because sometimes that is.
Well, it's good.
Block it out
It's important to know. But like that, I'm telling you, this one day he was supposed to pick me up. He didn't. I'm like, okay, he must be late. Calling up his house, no answer. No answer.
Yeah.
No answer. This is before cell phones, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I call him the next day. No answer. Now I'm going to school again. I call him the next day. Phone's disconnected. Gone.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, I think I was in junior high school at the time, like early junior high school. And then, I ended up going to high school in the Bronx. I went to a science high school, Bronx High School of Science in the Bronx. And I'm in I'm a junior there. And then one day I come out of class, and this guy's fucking standing there. It's my dad. He's like, hey. I was like, what is this? What? And it was a combination. I was like, what the hell happened? But it was a kind of like, am I angry or am I happy that here's my dad?
Yeah.
So I did I'm happy here's my dad. I asked him when I goes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great.
Wow.
And then he goes, I want to be part of your life and I'm so proud of you and this, that, the other thing. And then gone again. And that happened.
Would you have rather him just totally disappeared as a kid, never seen him again, or him coming back and forth made it worse?
I think that made it worse because it gives you this false hope of like, okay, because I'm always positive, and I was like, I'm gonna make this, except when I'm negative, but I was like, okay, it's gonna be a new start. He's in my life now. This is great.
Damn.
And it's fair. And then okay, it's a new start. It's a new beginning. Here it is. Let's start
Get
today.
Your hopes up, make it exciting because you're young too, and you want to see whatever.
Right, and you're hoping for the best. And the thing is, a lot of my friends, their parents were together, and I saw my buddy, like, oh yeah, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I can't come out because my dad and I are building this computer desk together, and we're going on this trip, and my dad's doing this, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, my dad's picking me up, and then they'd sometimes call my house and my dad didn't pick me up and I wouldn't answer the phone because I was embarrassed. I'm like, shit, it was bad. So it was almost, I would rather he just,
Yeah.
But
that is hard as a kid.
It was bad. And then I remember, he had done some stuff like forged my name on some things. I got a bill. I got a bill for $7,000 from a car company, and it's like, yeah, you defaulted on your lease and you never returned the car. I was like, what? And they faxed me this thing, and it's like he had put my signature as a I guaranteed the lease for him. I couldn't find him. I had no idea where he was, so I had to write off the thing I had to pay it down with the car company, and my credit was shot for 7 years because of that.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. So I think the military. I think some of that stuff was like seeking stability because I didn't have it. That was very unstable. So the counterbalance to that is to try to get some stability by, the military and working and the things and the jobs. And
I mean, like myself, that people know me, and I'm probably talked about a million times on this podcast and on social media and just in my lyrics and just in life. Is that did you kind of seek other father figures in the hardcore scene, like maybe Kevin Seconds or Ian Mackay or these other people that like had this message you could relate to and they kind of look up to them? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that's what I always like Ernie was like that to me. Timmy was. Yeah. These are guys I could follow them and do what they're doing. I could still be my own person. They were my friends, but you looked up to guys like like Kevin and Ian and these dudes. Like these are prophets.
Yeah. 100%. They're all prophets. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Black Train Jack's broken up. He started 9 Lives. Started playing shows with 9 Lives. How long does that last for?
That kept going. It was it never really picked up steam, but we just kept going and having fun with it. And then I was still in the reserves and stuff. And then things got very different. When 9/11 happened, yes. I had left the snowboard industry because in the winters I was working like 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and we were supposed to be playing shows. Okay. So that did not afford me the time to play shows. So I said, let me get a regular job where I'm working like 9 to 5 during the week so I could have my weekends to be. First, I wanted to become a teacher. I started my graduate degree in education, but I hated that.
Okay.
Ugh. Because I wanted to have the summers off. I'm like, oh my God, I can have the summers off and tour. Oh, this is great. And then it's like, no, I am not a good teacher.
Where was that point in your life you tried doing that? Were you in Black Train Jack? Were you not? When did you try to do that?
That was Black Train Jack. Before Black Train Jack, picked up. I had come back from my officer basic course in the Army. I had a little extra money. I said, you know what? I'm going to get myself a graduate degree in education so that I have that. Because Ernie had been working to be a teacher.
Got you.
And I'm like, this is a perfect career because you could tour all summer long, and that's what you do, right? Yeah. So, but I didn't like it.
And he became a teacher though, correct?
He was a teacher and he taught Catholic school, he taught art and stuff like that. But he had a skill. Yeah. That guy could teach you how to play music. He could teach you I could teach you how to, not do anything. I didn't have a skill like that. This is how you mop a floor, kinda.
Tie a good knot.
Look, I can't even tie good. This is how you could tie a knot, and shoes would be guaranteed to fall off. But I'll try.
So that didn't go with the teacher stuff.
Then the teacher didn't. So I started working. So in the Army Reserves, there was a job as a Department of Defense civilian working for my reserve unit as their security manager.
Okay.
And that meant that, I would make sure that people in the unit had their security clearances and make sure the building was taken care of and all this stuff. So I did it. And it was great because it wasn't the hardest job in the world, but it was still like a professional. It was, did okay. Mm-hmm. And I told them, hey, look, sometimes I go on tour. And this is when cell phones just started getting mainstream.
Yep.
So I said, can I possibly go on tour and telecommute and work from the road? If you can get your job done, sure. So it afforded me a lot of freedom to do what I needed to do. But then when 9/11 happened, it was like, okay, now you're the security manager. They plopped me on, active duty in the reserves.
Wow.
We went down and worked at Ground Zero doing building clearing and helping with the search stuff from September 12th on. And that was you want to talk about
I can't imagine.
A crazy time. So that was pretty nuts. And yeah, that was pretty crazy. And we knew some stuff was going down. We knew some stuff was going to start to happen overseas.
It must have been stressful and scary.
It was very scary.
Just everything.
Very scary. And
you saw some crazy shit probably.
I've never seen anything like that in my life, nor do I ever want to see that again. It was horrible, but because it's your home.
Yeah.
And you're looking at, literally the morning before or the morning of, I had driven past that because I was living in Brooklyn at the time.
Yeah.
And I drove across the Brooklyn Bridge and I went downtown. I just happened to end up going right past the Trade Center. Yeah. And then I had to go up to work and my unit was in the Bronx. And then that day it was just horrible.
Yeah.
But, so then we knew that stuff was going on. We didn't get deployed to Afghanistan, but we did some work to support it.
Okay.
And we still kept playing shows. We did stuff, 9 Lives. We were having a good time. And then we were playing a show in Pennsylvania, and I remember I got a call, and they're like, you're being mobilized. Yeah, you're going to Iraq. And that was in probably October 2002.
How did you feel at that moment? Were you nervous? Were you scared?
I was pretty nerve-wracking because, especially in the reserves, you do this stuff. And at the time, and people had been deployed to Bosnia and stuff like that, but you don't think there's no war. I'm not going to war. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, now I have to go and I'm going to be responsible for a team of guys doing some stuff in a war. And if they get killed, it's on me. And so it was weird. And, but, and at the time, I went to Iraq, early 2003 to, early 2004.
Okay.
And that was that. But, it was crazy. But what was really cool is that a guy on my team had previously, he was from Jersey, this guy, Mike, and he played in 9 Lives a little bit too. When Rusty was, when he came back from the war, we got together because he had worked with Quicksand before and some other bands. So in Iraq, we actually found a way to get a bass and a guitar, and he got a little 4-track, and we recorded some songs in Iraq.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I got to play them for you sometime. They're funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we had it was interesting.
Wow.
We had a pretty unique situation out there. We were in a special operations team, so we had our own place, and we had, whenever we had any free time, that's what we would do, is just try to make some music.
Yeah. Stay inspired and stay like making music. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, most of what we did was a lot of post-combat stuff of, after the combat was relatively short. And then after that, it was, rebuilding towns and villages and getting money to fund like clinics and water treatment centers and schools and internet centers to, You
were there for a year?
I was there for a year. I'll tell you what,
Wow.
I knowing what we know today about why we went in, it's very upsetting to know that you spent a year of your life and, over there for something that we were probably there for the wrong reasons.
Gotcha.
But, while we were there, for whatever role we played, we just tried to help people.
Yeah.
We were in a unit that did a lot of like that, helping as opposed to fighting.
Yeah.
So, that was good.
Yeah, I'm sure that was saw some things over there and did some things over there. It was pretty.
You just wanted to help people. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, we were lucky to be up in northern Iraq with the Kurds, where there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't the combat with the Iraqis, and there wasn't the real anti-US thing going on when we were first there.
Yeah.
All you saw were people that, the Kurds had been really, really screwed by Saddam Hussein. He used nerve agent on the Kurds up there, and we saw people who just were desperate to get in touch with people, their families in Europe and around the world. So we were able to get funding from USAID to build a little internet center.
Okay.
This is before.
Wow, dude.
So now these people,
Internet cafe. Yeah.
a little internet cafe. That's what we did, and
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I mean, that did more, because now people can oh my God, I can email. I can
Totally.
create an email address and email my cousin who lives in Germany and maybe get them to sponsor me to leave here and go there.
That's crazy.
It was an interesting, very interesting time. And it definitely changes you, because now suddenly you're responsible for people's lives, and it's real. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm responsible for if these kids die, it's because of me. Because I didn't do something right. So
it's heavy. How old were you then when you went in there?
35.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was it. So
That's heavy, man.
34. Yeah, 34, 33. I was.
And then when you came back, were you shell shocked when you came back after a year to America?
No, it just, you really develop an appreciation for how lucky that you are for even when things suck. I mean, look, everything is contextual, if someone's very, very fortunate, if they can't find the right pair of shoes to wear, that might be a tragedy for them. But that's in their life context. And if they haven't been exposed to things that are different, it just helps you really put things in context and see, and also to learn, when I was over there, the one thing that really resonated was that the people, all they want to do is just live in peace, man. Mm-hmm. There's a very, very small percentage of very bad people. Most of the people are very good, and they just want to live in safety and security and have their family and have their kids do better than they did. Yeah. And that's it. It doesn't matter they don't care about what's going on with, Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and the Americans. They don't care. They just want to live and be in peace. Yeah. And you got to respect that more than anything.
I want to live in peace too.
Me too.
I want my son to have everything better than I had too.
Exactly. And that's all they want, you know? And maybe they go about it differently. They got like a farm in a little village somewhere, but that's what they do. And most people, what really sucks is, it's the fringes and the governments and the greed that screws things up, when most people, all they want to do is just live in peace. Yeah.
And you saw that firsthand and witnessed it, and probably opened your eyes and opened your heart a lot.
It sure did.
Like, to make you who you are today. And fuck, man. So that was, when did you get back from that? What year was that? 90? I don't know.
I got back from that in 2004.
2004. Holy shit.
Yeah. And I kept working with the unit and stayed involved with the snowboard industry and everything like that. And, just to me, I just wanted to always have fun. Yeah. Even, in Iraq, one of the guys was laying there. We would have Fridays. I gave my guys Friday off, because Friday was in that area of the world, that's their Sunday. Yeah. Right. So I gave them off, someone would be laying there and, laying in the sun. You would you would unload a pistol and put it on their stomach so they'd get a sunburn, except there'd be a silhouette of a pistol on their stomach.
God, dude, fucking
dumb
serious?
Things like that. You'd put a piece of tape over their lip so they'd have a suntan mustache. Oh. But
That's fucking
all stuff.
crazy.
But I really good to learn how to screw with people from being in a band.
Oh, for sure.
And I
All
learned a
breaking
lot.
into
Some of the
bands,
stuff
yeah.
I did, it was like this. That's the direct ripoff from Sick of It All, and watching what they
Yeah.
did to each other.
100%.
Putting the little Hershey's crackle wrappers in like every little shoe and every little crevice when someone's cracking on tour. To
Oh,
see
yeah.
Anyway,
Fuck, man. So, would you consider yourself an optimist or pessimist?
I consider myself an optimist.
Obviously.
I can get pretty angry at things like and I don't know. There's a lot of things about the mind that you just don't know. I don't think that being in the war or whatever did this, that, or the other thing, or the stuff with my dad. I think
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty well adjusted, but I bet there's some shit like big things, like when there's big problems, I can be really level-headed. But like
Yeah.
sometimes little things, I just go through the roof,
Yeah.
like stupid, and then afterwards I'm like, hey, you're an idiot. What the fuck did you get so upset?
But you've always been a positive person.
I've always been pretty positive.
Yeah, man.
Just wanted to be happy and have fun and be positive and help others
Yeah.
be that way. This is time to be serious, and you take work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah, 100%. Do you have any regrets in your life?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty happy right now. I mean,
Yeah.
but what would have happened? Could Black Train Jack have done like great things and maybe been more of an influence to more people and been still doing it today, like you guys are doing H2O? Maybe but who knows? You can't really have regrets because you can't see the future.
Yeah.
And you just have to be, you have to, whatever happens, whether it's bad, good, or otherwise, you have to say, how is this going to have a positive outcome? Like,
I agree.
Okay, my band ended. What can come positively out of this? It gives me an opportunity to do X, Y, Z that I couldn't have done before because I had the band. It gives me an opportunity to do a different band. It gives me an opportunity to experience something else, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a regret for I don't know what the fuck I was saying at that moment. Sorry, I spaced on that one.
It's okay. You're the professional. You can space.
No, I know. I'm trying to think what else to cover because we talked for an hour and 26 minutes. It's really wonderful. Oh yeah, a couple of things real quick before we have to go. We're going to get tattoos.
What do you mean we
tonight.
have to go?
We're going to be at the tattoo shop an hour and a half.
Yeah, but doesn't this take priority?
It does. We can't be late for a tattoo appointment. We have to do a part 2 then.
Okay.
But we're at an hour and a half. That's really great.
All right.
2 things we should talk about real quick. I have a Black Train Jack tattoo because I love your band.
I have an H2O tattoo.
And Brian plays bass with us on many tours. He's filled in where he played bass and Adam plays guitar. I don't know if anybody ever saw that lineup with a big tall guy playing guitar and a little short guy playing bass.
Yeah, but I got a small bass. See, he's got to get a bigger guitar and I got to get a smaller bass. But it does look funny.
Very
but
strange.
Pardon the funny look, but I got to tell you that was some of the best experiences. And I got to tell you, thank you. I got to thank you guys because when I was able to do that with you guys and still knowing that occasionally happens, that is the coolest thing, man. It's so much fun.
We took it to South America, right? Colombia?
We did South America and we did Europe.
That's right.
And then we did the Midwest. That was the Alkaline Trio.
Oh, that's right. Holy shit.
Stuff.
So we've seen like a guy on stage, like, who is that little guy? This is Brian right here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's me.
He's
And
played
very,
with us.
it's an honor to be part of the H2O family.
I'm honored to have you, and I'm happy that like we've stayed friends since 1988 and through all the years, and now we're dads with a kid.
It's super cool.
It's crazy to see it, and now you're in California, and we're out here together.
What's really funny is,
amazing.
you always wonder, like I remember, I'd be at a show and sometimes it's like one of these things that come in and out of your head, like, am I going to be like this when I'm 50? What am I going to, what will it be like when I get old?
Exactly.
Will
Sounds
I
like
still hop on my bike and ride around town?
Exactly.
Will I, right?
And you will.
We do.
Take scooters.
But then, and you see the way we've developed. And you see people from the hardcore scene that might have been like an obscure kid, like, oh my God, they have this company now and they're doing this and that, and this guy's doing this. And the whole DIY ethic and the positivity, like you see people have become like, you want to talk about an interesting psychological study is the effect of being in the positive hardcore movement from a youngster to being an older kid.
That's pretty true, actually.
I mean, it's amazing what that whole feeling and what caused that. These pioneers like guys like Ian and Kevin and Dave, these guys that I mean, that really changed people's lives.
It really did. Man.
It made you who you are. God knows you would have been, I don't know, you would have been a mess. I would have been a train wreck too.
It's the time. I really feel like it's the timing. It was our household. It was the rules we may not have had at the moment. Because I feel like every single person I've interviewed about this music that we all come from, nobody had a complete normal American family. Nobody had the perfect stability. Nobody had the perfect income. Nobody had the perfect.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
it's
that
like
I think that the perfect American family is a myth. Everyone's got
100%.
struggles going on,
100%.
and that's another thing I've learned. It took a while to learn, but man, you just never judge, because that kid that you think might have the perfect family, guaranteed they're carrying around a burden that you could not even comprehend.
Yeah, there's no such. I was gonna say there's no such thing as it, and all the people I know all come from those non-perfect families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like either single parent or parent passed away, and we all met in the hardcore scene, and we all
Mm-hmm.
became parents, and we all became doing things, and we use all that what we learned from those lyrics and this music in our everyday life as adults. We're almost 50, me and you, and we still love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it still means something to us, and we hear those songs and those memories and all that shit. It's like,
Well,
it's a special type of thing.
You know, and it would be easy. I think it would be easy for a lot of people to look and see like the resurgence of a lot of these old bands
Yeah.
to be like negative and cynical about it and say, but I'll tell you what, it was a very special time,
Yes.
a very special thing. And if younger kids today can get even a sliver of that by seeing some of these bands on tour,
I love it.
I mean, I think that is the greatest thing in the
love it.
world, because it was a life-changing thing for you and for me.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have known each other if it wasn't for music.
Exactly. And we got to see these bands back then.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that kids get to see them now, and they get to appreciate it and respect the roots and the history
Yeah.
of it.
And look, people could be negative about it, but I'm telling you, I think it's great. And to see kids, makes the kids start their own band.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're going to become. And,
Yeah.
As long as it's, about good things and spreading good message and positivity.
Yeah.
The hardcore scene, and we talked about this the first time we did it, and it came out crappy, but like that was always the coolest thing, where it's so much, it's more than the music. It's a whole, it's everything else around it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's everything, man.
And it gave people from different kinds of backgrounds, whether you were poor, whether you were well off, whether you were from a family with two parents or one or no parents. It gave
Every
you
race, everything.
No, color free, prejudice free,
Yeah.
a positive place to be, man. And I thank everyone for letting me in.
And I feel like the people that stayed away from it because on the outside look violent and scary. I wish they could have came and checked it out, because I know from an outside perspective we look like a bunch of freaks jumping on each other, tackling each other, screaming, sweaty. It looks crazy and violent, which it is sometimes, but it's what it looks like and what it really is something so different.
Yeah, and look, like anything else, nothing is a true utopia, right? Everything has its problems, everything has its bad apples, but overall, it's a great scene to come up in. And even for me, like I consider myself so lucky, even having been on the periphery more like I was.
Yeah.
It was just the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I feel like me and you both got a lot of the same things out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's why we're still friends.
Exactly. The same inspirations and the same values and all that. And yeah, man, we did a lot. I've known you for 30.
Did you say you shit with me a lot?
What?
Did you say you shit with me a lot?
No, I never shit with you before.
No, I've seen you shit.
I've seen you shit before
Yeah,
too.
likewise. All right.
So yeah, Brian. So the people listening, man, Brian Black Train Jack. You can check out all the Black Train Rack records and 9 Lives and see this guy's history. You can just go on your phone and do that. You don't have to look at a record thank you list or.
Can I tell you a coffee story?
Sure.
This is Ernie's dad got me to drink coffee. I thought it was the most gross thing, like you did.
Mm-hmm.
And Ernie's dad, he was a cool little old Spanish guy. And he's like, Brian, you got it. I try coffee. It's the best. I'm like, no. And he said, no. I'm going to make you a coffee. This is what got me into it. And I okay. And he made like this Cafe Bustelo, a little espresso in this old school espresso machine.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Watch. He put a little cup, put a little sugar in it. And your dog is either farting on me or kicking me gently.
Yeah.
It feels like rhythmic.
She's a podcast mascot.
It's great. And I smell like dog. And he cut this little sliver of lime rind.
Yeah.
Squeezed it in there and put it in there. And he's like, just taste this. And I did, and it was really good. And I was like, Mr. Parada, I'm in.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was a love affair.
And Descendants didn't inspire you to drink coffee?
Well, but then I was like, oh yeah, well, I drink coffee now, so of course a bonus cup. Do we have time? Can I keep talking to you?
We can keep talking, but you have to drive my car. You can drive
I'll
fast.
drive your car.
Yeah. Mommy, you coming with us, babe?
So, I was working at a snowboard shop.
Yeah.
And I had gotten a Descendants bonus cup.
Got you. I
But
remember
at the
that.
time,
I remember that.
they were making big ones. It was like a big
Okay.
insulated mug as a
Yep.
bonus cup, and I had it, and I put it down in a spot where you could put things where no one's going to touch them.
Yeah.
And I put it down, and I left it because I went home or whatever, practice, something like that. Came back the next day, it's gone. I said, "Oh, someone must have put it in the back or something." Looking around, bonus cup is gone. Now, they weren't easy to get.
No,
And
I had a bonus cup. I remember those.
And it was a special thing.
Yeah, it was a special thing.
And there was a kid who worked at the front of the store. And he's like, I was like, I was like almost in tears. Did anyone see my bonus cup?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that was yours? I was like, what do you mean it was mine? He goes, well, it was just left there full of like this half-drunk coffee. I was like, so I threw it away. I was like, you threw away my bonus cup? He's like, yeah. And
He must have been so pissed.
I fired him.
You did?
Well, yeah, because first of all, because that show to me, to expand on it, this guy does not have respect for somebody else's property.
No,
You know,
he doesn't.
you see a half-drunk cup of coffee, you don't throw the mug away. You dump the
know.
coffee
It's
out, and
so
then you
dumb.
rinse it out. You leave it for someone else.
Yeah, you should
You
get
threw it
fired.
away. And there was more to it because then I said, hey, look, man, you can't. I was very upset. And I tried to keep it down,
Yeah.
but you could probably see the steam coming out of my ears. I'm like, you can't throw away someone else's property because you don't feel like you want to see a cup of coffee there. And he started getting in my face about it. And I was a manager there at the time. And I'm like, dude, you're treading on very, very thin ice. And he's like, oh, yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to fire you. You're going to fire me? Yes. Get out now, you bonus cup throwawayer. Get out.
That's fucking crazy.
So maybe that's one guy that doesn't like the Descendants. But I'm sorry.
It was cool to
guys.
talk about coffee back then, too, because nobody was really singing about coffee.
No, it was very
pretty
cool.
amazing.
Descendants were so much fun. That was another man. I love that band. I still got a little
too,
Milo
man.
bobblehead on my desk.
It's amazing.
I that was because you know what it was fun, positive energy.
Pop, too. It was poppy, too.
And
That's
you-
like OG.
Where did you first hear Descendants?
I saw them in Rhode Island.
That was the first time?
In their first album tour, my brothers.
You know what it was for me? The Vision Psycho skate video or
Gosh,
Psycho
I know
stick,
what that is, yeah.
and I'm not a cool guy.
Oh, I'm
Was
not
not a cool guy anymore.
That was the first out-of-town band I've ever seen. It
Oh,
wasn't
my
a local
God.
band in Rhode Island. Yeah.
I heard them on that VCR tape,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god!" And that got me into this.
Would you consider them the first original pop punk besides Ramones? Like really poppy love songs.
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, because they had such a cool mix of backgrounds and where they
Yeah.
came from, and and Bill's drumming with
Amazing.
that's the surf style mixed with the energy,
Yeah.
and Steph. It was just such a cool.
Because the Misfits had like a doo-wop pop kind of vibe, the melodies.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Descendants were just Ramones, obviously totally, but the real
Yeah, but
like,
Ramones were more of like a full like rock vibe
Yeah.
with the melodic rock, but the Descendants for pop punk was like totally like love songs and girls and coffee
Silly
and
Girl,
farts.
Clean Sheets,
I mean,
Sour Grapes.
they legitimize Sour Grapes would give me. I mean, that's
Dude.
the soundtrack of your life, right?
Yeah.
Mine. Tell you what, and a lot of bad taste, but I mean,
Such
the
a bad taste,
legitimized
Sour
farting.
Grapes.
And
Yeah,
I
just
always
farting,
had
yeah.
trouble. I didn't realize I was lactose intolerant for many, many years. So I would eat ice cream and have cereal in the morning. I'd be farting all day. And then when Descendants came around, I'm like, I'm cool. I can fart on command. I can shit my pants.
They might have been lactose too. You never know.
It could have been, but
That was before
maybe.
that was something.
But I'll tell you, I know you say it too, and I know I'm going to forget names, but God, do I owe a debt of gratitude to people who and some of them have become our friends, right?
Yeah, man.
Like Kevin
Yeah.
and Dave, and you talk
Yeah.
to Ian, like these guys, but they'll never and like Bad Religion and Descendants and Minor Threat and Dag Nasty and JFA and Gorilla Biscuits
Yeah.
and I mean throw out some more names, right? Bands I know I'm going to and the Ramones
Yeah.
and other bands and I love the Lunatics, man.
Yeah.
God, I love them and I had a crush on Squid.
It's all good.
I did.
What up, Squid?
She should know. Anyway,
she was awesome.
I still think she's an awesome person.
Great
What a
bass
super
bass player, right?
bass player,
Yeah, she killed it.
so cool.
Shout out to Lunatics, man. A great band, man.
and they're doing
band.
and she's doing great stuff today too. all these bands that, you'd never. Some people seek inspiration from other things that are far out and untouchable and unreachable, but this was something that you could live.
These were our Tony Robbins.
And my God, I just thank God for you having me on here. Thank you for having me on the pie. It's an honor to be your friend and to be on here. And you had a little bit of you got high on your 3 grams of coffee that you drank. But
before we go, we got one story to tell about Joe Vasion, the guy who does my podcast.
Wait, you didn't let me say thank you.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you to all these people. A sincere, from the heart and soul, right? I mean, you say it a lot, but it's so true. And if you're listening and you just experience new bands, and if you can get the vinyl and see the thanks list on these old records, just experience different bands and have fun.
Or just go to Google too. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's...
I know. People don't do that anymore, though.
I know. Because it's going to be algorithms, and then all of a sudden they're going to be seeing bad bands. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, stick with the thanks list.
Let's get the Joe Vasion story real quick.
Joe Vasion was... Stella, what are you doing? I'm sorry. I think Stella's giving me the "it's time to stop" kick.
Shout out to Joe Vasion who edits my podcast for me. My man from Queens. We got a good story about you real quick.
We were recording for 9 Lives at someone's, a studio in Brooklyn. It was up a couple of flights of stairs. And Joe's up there. He's like, God, I don't feel good. God, I can't. I'm just out of breath. I don't feel good. And it's like sitting there against the wall. I'm like, are you okay, man? He's like, I feel really weak. I'm out of breath. Now, granted, he helped us carry, like the Ampeg refrigerator base cabinet up the stairs. And, and then he's like, I gotta go to the doctor. He went to the doctor, and he had a fucking collapsed lung.
Wow.
And I don't know how it happened. And I don't know if he knows how it happened to this day. His lung just collapsed.
I have to give him the podcast and ask him what happened.
Just don't ask him to do heavy work, because
his lung collapsed right there.
His lung collapsed. That's a really scary thing. But that was the Joe Vasion story.
Did you rush him to the hospital or anything, or no?
No. We said, okay, he's gone. Keep recording. Yeah. We didn't realize what had happened. And at the time, what do you mean your lung collapsed? Get it, reinflate it, come back. I don't know what the hell it was. But anyway.
Shout out to Joe Vasion. If you guys see anybody selling merch on tour with us anytime in America, he wears glasses. It's Joe Vasion, little guy from Queens. Shout out to Joe.
A lot of little guys. Little guys.
We guys are Queens.
Little guy. But yeah, and Joe, he may look unfriendly, but he's very friendly.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's got a big heart.
Well, I appreciate you.
His big heart must have squished his other lung.
I appreciate my life, our friendship. We've had this many years, writing each other letters. Our bands playing together. You playing with H2O. Your band inspiring my band.
Likewise.
Keeping it positive, keeping the melodies and the core. All that shit, man.
Thank you for being who you are too, man. You've done a lot of great things, and it's super cool to see you come up from, I watched it from the outside too. This is the guy that was the out crowd roadie with the crazy, weird dreadlocks, and now we're still friends,
Yeah.
And just seeing what you've become, and your kid, and Max is amazing, and your family, and it's just the best. I'm really glad we're out here with you now too.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you out here, man. I'm very happy to have you in California. It's good to have a friend that's known you that many years that's actually out here with you, because I have a lot of friends out here too, and friends from the East Coast. But me and you had a connection for many years, since I was 18. So it's amazing, man. Yeah. I'm super proud of you, everything you've done in your life too, and what you've contributed to the hardcore scene, and all the music you've done, and what you're giving back to as your job, trying to keep this planet safe, and all of us humans safe, and the animals, and every living thing that you protect. I appreciate.
It was the past, but it was a good run, and it was for the right reasons. But anyway,
yeah, man. Everything's good.
That's a nice shirt you got on, by the way.
Yeah, I'm wearing an original Dag Nasty shirt that Doug Carrion gave me at lunch last Friday. I don't know the date exactly, but it's a Can I Say shirt. It's never been worn. It was in a box his brother had saved.
Now it's been really worn for 4 days straight.
So it's a 35-year-old original Dag Nasty shirt. It was in a box, and he gave it to me on Friday. I have not taken it off. I wear it every day until my wife peels it off my body. But it's such an honor. It smells vintage. I love that smell.
It smells more than vintage now.
It's like the screen printing tag, screen tees from the 80s, and I'm truly honored. And we're about to get off this podcast, so we're going to go Orange County. We're all going to get Dag Nasty tattoos today. Thanks for listening, guys. Hey, listen, I've been getting really, really amazing feedback from all types of people, all walks of life about this podcast. I'm very, very overwhelmed with the responses I get. I basically put it out on Mondays and post about it on my page and on One Life on Chance page, and I'm going to start working on getting some videos to go with all this audio, and the response and reaction to this podcast that I was super nervous about putting out this year. I just started putting out this year. the reactions and the connections and the questions and the stuff I'm getting, it's really overwhelming. And I'm super happy. I love putting it out. I love talking to my friends and having this therapeutic conversations with all these people who inspire me, and these people who have touched my life in certain ways. And so thank you guys for listening sincerely. This has been very fun. I can't wait to get all these other episodes out. I got a lot of people lined up I'm going to be talking to. And I appreciate everybody's support. And Brian, thanks for always supporting me as my friend, everything I've been involved in my whole life. So
That's what it's about.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I think I'm coming down from the coffee now.
That's why there's still more here.
Before I can take a nap in the whip. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, man.
That was awesome. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to do the next one.